Hey there, everyone. Welcome to another monthly edition of the Real Estate Market Update. And I'm excited about this month because I actually have a friend of mine, Josh Pruitt, joining me with this. He's a mortgage loan originator with Sierra Pacific Mortgage, so that he can give you insight on the mortgage market, and I can give you insight on the real estate market. So, in order to save everybody time, we are just going to go ahead and get right into it. So first, we're going to start out with the mortgage update because when you have a guest, you get to make them go first if you want.
Looking
So
forward
the
to it.
question everybody has is where are mortgage rates headed? So Josh, tell us.
Absolutely. Well, Jay, thank you for having me on. Looking forward to it. So, big question: where are mortgage rates headed? Well, I think this is just a good snapshot here for everybody. Experts are forecasting that the 30-year fixed rate mortgage will vary from just above 5% to as high as 7% by the end of 2022. And of course, these are just some of the detailed predictions as of the late July 2022. So, if we look at Lawrence Yun, who is a chief economist for the NAR, or National Association of Realtors, he says the mortgage rates bouncing along near 6% is certain for the remainder of the year. They could go up even close to 7%, especially if oil and gas supply further lags behind and pushes up the critical energy prices during the winter heating season. So I think we all can say that the rates are still going to rise just a little bit, so buckle down. They're not too terrible. I mean, we've already kind of hit a peak this year. I think right around 6.34%, if I remember correctly, where they were. They've dropped back down since then, hovering around 5.5%, close to 6%. So I think that's a very good thing to kind of hold on to as far as where we're looking at for rates between now and the end of the year. So
And I think
hope that
it's all a
answers your
matter of
question.
perspective. We got so used to what I call cheap money that we forget that never been that low before. I mean,
Yeah, 100%.
yeah, I've told Josh before that I bought a condo was the first purchase I ever made, and I got a 7.5% interest rate on that loan, and I thought I stole money from the bank. I mean, I'd never seen a rate that low, and so now we're simply going back to that. But we got
Yep.
so used to being able to afford so much more at a 2.5% or 3.5% interest rate that this feels like it hurts, even though historically it's still cheap money.
Well, Jay, in 2019, I bought my home. And yes, I bought it at a good price, and it's worth a lot more now. But the rate that I went with was 5.75% with Eastman Credit Union. That was in 2019.
Hmm.
Actually, towards the latter part of 2019, before we hit 2020, when the rates really began to really dip. So I bought at 5.75% when I didn't really know what the rates were, or I didn't really care what the rates were.
Hmm.
I just knew I qualified for a home and what my payments were going to be, and and I went after it. There's a lot of people who have purchased over the years at rates at 6%, above 6%, just below 6%. So I don't think it's uncommon. I think we just everybody's a little fearful because we had such low rates that all of a sudden we can't buy a home, now because the rates are above
Hmm.
5%. So, which is not the
Now,
case.
so when I bought that home, and even when I bought my first real house after I got married, I didn't even ask what the rate was. Like that wasn't a part of the equation. It was I want to buy a home. How much can I qualify for, and what's the payment going to look like based on current rates? It was rates have been talked about so much now that I think it's more on people's minds than it ever has been before. Whereas before it was just about, I want a house, what can I afford and qualify for, and then let me go look for something that is in that price range. Um, but now I also got lucky. So we moved 2 years ago in 2020, and our rate is 2.785. So I will never refinance. um, I will hold on to that
Not unless you
mortgage.
need some money out.
Exactly. Yeah. But just as far as trying to reduce my payments or anything, they're never going to be that cheap again.
I
Well, they
agree.
may, but we can't predict the future. If we could, I think Josh said it already. If we could predict the future, we'd both be multimillionaires, and we would be doing this.
Yes. Yes.
So will home prices continue to rise? Well, there's a lot of talk of recession right now. Are we in a recession? They're loving to debate what the definition of a recession is right now. But even if we are in a recession, or still in a recession, or are headed out of a recession, you can see that a recession does not automatically mean falling home prices. So this graphic shows you the home price change during the last 7 recessions, and you can see during the all but two of them saw continued home price appreciation. One was in 1981, where we saw a slight dip of 1.9%. I would call that significantly insignificant, statistically insignificant, just because the other numbers we're seeing are much larger than that. So that was pretty much a wash.
Hmm.
2008, we saw 19.7% drop, but the reason there was because that recession was actually caused by the housing market price drop. So the price drop was not a result of the recession, but it was the actual cause of the recession.
Right.
2020, we had a small recession. Home prices continued to appreciate 6%. So just because we are in a recession or out of a recession or continued into a recession, that doesn't mean that we're going to see home prices drop. In fact, I wish I had included the graph. I will post it on social media, but it shows home price appreciation percentages over the last like 6 decades, and you can see that the left side of the graph is lower than the right side of the graph, and the
Right.
only the only dip in that curve was in 2008. Throughout the rest of history, home prices have continued to appreciate. So I don't think that it's reasonable for us to expect the market to bottom out, because it's only happened one time in history, and that was during the 2008 housing crisis.
Yeah, Jay, just quickly, I don't know a lot of people that maybe know what happened in 2008, but um, with the housing market, a lot of that was due to the fact of people were buying homes that should not have bought homes.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is that, on our side as a mortgage lender, there were things that were not in place that were there to, as like a safe haven of protecting mortgages and homes and people, and it was just anybody and everybody could get a home. And so that's why we see such a huge dip or drop in home values and the recession that took place in 2008. But I can tell you today, and since then, that if you qualify for a mortgage, if we run you through the ringer and we ask for all the documentation and we verify your employment and we do all these things, all those things are put in place to secure a healthy housing market to where that doesn't happen ever again. Now,
Hmm.
granted, doesn't mean that foreclosures are not still going to take place, and people lose jobs and other things happen that affect in the mortgage industry because people can't make their payments or what it may be. But as far as what happened in 2008, we should never see that ever again because of the things that are put in place to ensure that if you qualify for a mortgage, that you qualify for a mortgage and not just
Hmm.
anybody can get one. So, perfect example is the home prices or home values increasing, rates going up, which means it shortens your ability of what you got approved for before then. Whenever we ran your numbers, right,
Hmm.
for a mortgage, and because of the home values going up and what it costs for you with the rates and all that, some people got pushed out of being able to purchase a home or backed out because they no longer are in the price range that they were before that they wanted to purchase a home in, right? Because
Hmm.
of what's happening. So,
Well, and as a comparison, so when I bought that condo in 2007, um, they basically took my word. So the bank didn't even do an employment verification. They took my business card. They took a couple months of my checking statements, and then I filled out a little affidavit about how much money I made. And I
mhm.
mean, that was literally it. Whereas
Yeah,
nowadays, it feels like a full invasion of privacy
it
when
is
you
100%.
apply for a mortgage.
Sometimes we ask for your firstborn,
Yeah,
but not all
yeah.
the time.
But it's a much different qualify. You do have to actually qualify and prove that you can qualify now, and that's what that was the result of the financial crisis. That
Yes.
lending standards went up, and no more free money for anybody who wants it.
Right. Sorry for that little caveat, but I just wanted to throw that in there.
No, it's good stuff. Good stuff. So, what does the cost of waiting look like? So we've talked about mortgage rates are going to go up. We've talked about home prices are going to go up. So this is just looking. This is a predictor of the next 6 to 9 months. Um, and again, we can't predict history, but we're just kind of going off what the experts are saying. And so this is taking a median priced home at a 5% current interest rate, which we know it's a little higher. It's about 5.5, but I like simple math. So
Yeah.
we did a median priced home, which is about 280, 285. I can't remember what number I used. Put a 10% down payment down. That gives you a mortgage amount of 247.5 at a 5% interest rate. Versus in 6 to 9 months, we could see the median home price being closer to 300,000, which puts you at a $270,000 mortgage at a 6% interest rate. And I used the lower end of that prediction too. But you can see even using the lower end, that's a $300 increase in your monthly payment and an $82,000 increase in interest expense over the life of that loan. So just waiting for the sake of waiting is going to cost you real money
Hmm.
because mortgage rates are going to go up and the home prices are going to go up. So it's going to cost you more every which way to purchase a home in 6 to 9 months.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, if you're serious about buying a home and you've just been kind of just hoping to wait and see what happens, now's not the time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're waiting because you just don't know that it's the best scenario for you, then I don't blame you. Me and Jay both. If it's not a good scenario for you, if it's not the right plan for you and your family, then obviously waiting is maybe in your best interest. But if you're serious about purchasing and you're hoping, well, maybe I'll wait 4 months or 6 months or the first part of 2023 in the spring when it seems like all the listings all of a sudden come available. Listen, we're still going to be in a higher interest rate market just like we are now.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know if it's going to be 7, 6.5, 6.25, 5.5, but still you can see that if you wait, you're still going to pay for it.
Mm-hmm. And people, if you're waiting just simply because you want to try to time the market perfectly and game the market, if anybody knew how to do that, again, they would be
Please let us know.
multimillionaires. Yeah, because we would love to know your formula. Because just like the stock market, people can get pretty good at predicting, but there's no guarantees. But unlike the stock market that can change values in the matter of 24 to 48 hours, the housing market moves much slower than that. So if
Right.
you're waiting, the thing about the housing market is if you sell high, you're going to buy high. So if
Yep.
you're trying to wait to maximize, so you want to maximize how much you can sell your home for, and then move into something else at a little bit cheaper cost. That's just not the way the housing market works. If the price of your home has gone up, so is the price of the homes that you're looking to buy. Um,
Hmm.
so trying to time the market is a fool's errand. And this next slide looks at, let's just say interest rates plateau at 5%. Well, we know home prices are continuing to appreciate. So
Right.
using those same purchase numbers as far as home values, your mortgage is still $120 more per month, and you're paying almost 21,000 more in interest over the life of the loan. So even if mortgage rates don't rise, um, waiting for the sake of trying to time the market is just it's going to cost you money. Um, there's other personal reasons, like if you're changing jobs or you've got other things going on. There's plenty of reasons why you don't need to buy a home right now. But trying to play the game is going to do nothing but cost you money. So real quick, I'm going to go over the national real estate market. I'm going to try to go through that quickly and then get to the local numbers because I know that's what is more relevant for all of us here. But first, I want to give you a quick idea of you hear people talk about buyer's market, seller's market. You've heard me talk about it. You've heard me define it. Real estate agents measure it in a term of months of inventory. And the way we get to that number, just real quick, is we take what's the average number of homes that sell per month over the last X number of months. We take the current number of homes on the market, divide it by that number, and that tells us how long it would take to sell out of the current number of homes that we have on the market. And that's called our inventory level, which is, and that ends up being a function of months. So anything around 6 to 7 months is a neutral market, or what I call a normal market. A seller's market is anything less than 6 months. A buyer's market is anything greater than 7 months. So in a buyer's market, that means there's an over inventory of homes. So buyers have plenty of homes to choose from. There's more homes than there are buyers out looking to purchase homes. Whereas in a seller's market, it's the exact opposite. There's a low inventory of homes for sale, but there's a ton of buyers out looking. So you can see nationally that number has ticked up quite a bit to around 3 months of inventory. But here locally, it has not. We're around a month and a half of inventory. Several months ago, we were around just under a month of inventory. So yes, we've seen a slight shift, but it's definitely not on what the national level is seeing. And a lot of that's because the national factors in the markets that always have crazy shifts up and down. So when you think of the Miamis and the Fort Lauderdales and the San Franciscos and New Yorks and the big cities that you see huge shifts in home pricing going up, and then it crashes and drops back down. So you're seeing that a lot right now, especially with people in some of these resort communities not buying second homes or doing things like that. So you're seeing the values drop, which is affecting the national numbers. Whereas here locally, we're the number three market in the country. So our numbers are not going right down, and the number one market in Tennessee. Um, so this is looking at the national estimates of home price forecasts for 2022. So if you see my other videos and some of my social media posts, you can see where you've seen this graphic where I show you the seven forecasters of home pricing, and then it gives you the average of what those seven are. One of them's NAR, one of them's Realtor.com, one of them's Zillow, one of them's CoreLogic. I don't remember what they all are, but they all have their different predictions. And then they take an average and say, here's the average of all the experts. So you can see at the beginning of the year, they were expecting only about a 5% home price appreciation for 2022. They were expecting 2022 to cool off a lot and be a much different market than 2021. But that has not been the case. So you've seen, I don't know what happened to February. I couldn't find the February number, but just ignore that. But the rest of the months, every month they've had to increase their price appreciation because the market has not relented the way that they thought it would. So much so that now in August they're predicting 11% national increase in home pricing for 2022. However, the good news is there are fewer buyers out looking. So if you've been a buyer and you're tired of competing against um, five, six, seven, eight, maybe even a dozen offers on a home, well, there's some relief in sight. There are fewer buyers out looking. You can see in April, there was an average of 5.5 offers on a home that sold. In May, it dropped to 4.2. In June, it went down to 3.4. And I believe it's continued to fall since then. Just even me personally, with some buyers I've been working with, there was one house that we only went up against one other offer on. Whereas, 18 months ago, there would have been 12 offers on that house. So
Right.
while we still have more buyers looking for homes than there are homes to buy, it's no longer 12 to 15 homes per every or buyers for every home on the market. It's getting back much more down to a reasonable number, which is why you're seeing the inventory levels pop up a little bit. So I don't know if you're seeing a little bit fewer buyers on your end, Josh, but that's what we're definitely seeing
Yeah.
on the real estate end.
Yeah, definitely a few more people getting pre-qualified. I think some people realize they're outpriced in this market, you know, and then fewer maybe wanting to look because of being outbid or just because of the craziness in the market. But yeah, it's slowed down a little bit, but there's still plenty of people out there who are
Hmm.
still hungry in buying a home and wanting to purchase. And great news about real estate is it's not going anywhere. People change jobs, people move places all the time. So we're always going to be here. We're always going to be selling homes. Handing out loans, to people that need them for homes. I'll be here, so it may slow down a little bit, but we know it's going to pick back up
Hmm.
at some point. Just
And
because in our
honestly, most
area,
real
there's
estate
still a
agents
lot of
are
demand.
Yeah, and honestly, most real estate agents are welcoming this slight slowdown because, um, honestly, it's not fun having to run to a home as fast as you can. So if it hits the market at 9 a.m., you better be putting in showing requests for your buyers by 9:01, or it
Hmm.
might be booked up for the whole day, and then trying to
Right.
write and compete against multiple offers and do all the craziness. And then, each of your buyers, where you used to be able to look at 6 or 7 homes and then pick one and buy it, now you're having to make 6 or 7 offers on different homes before you finally get to close on one. It's very frustrating and heartbreaking, and we've been happy to see it slow down a little bit.
Sure.
So Lawrence Yun, the chief economist for the National Association of Realtors, he says that home sales are running below the pre-pandemic numbers seen in early 2022 or early 2020, slightly below the 2019 annual total. Mortgage rates appear to be settling down at around 6%, with the past week dipping to about 4.99%. Now, again, he's looking at a national average. So you'll see markets with rates higher than that. You'll see markets with rates lower than that. But right now, it's. I think we looked at this morning at our meeting, and it was like at 5.2% or something like that as a national average.
Yeah.
But they've been hovering right around 5.5 to 6 for a long time now. So that dip will probably go back to 5.5 soon. um, so in other words, home sales are more, and he's making a comment on the jobs report that was just released out. He's saying the home sales are more impacted by mortgage rate changes than jobs. So the recently stabilizing mortgage rates suggest home sales will also soon stabilize and are likely to make steady gains in 2022. So again, he's predicting that mortgage rates are going to go up and stabilize, and he's predicting not that home prices are going to go up and level off, but that the month over month gain in home prices is going to stabilize and be at a more normal level than what I'm about to show you for our current market. um, so the local real estate market. First, I'm going to show you, I just want to comment on these briefly. These are in my social media. So if you want the full market, I've got the full market. Then I've also got different cities that I've done this for. So if you're interested in that, go look at it. But two things I want to hit on here. One is the year over year price increase of the median sales price of homes in our area. That's sitting at 19.5% currently. So I showed you the graphic where the experts are predicting a national number of around 11%. We're at 19.5% here locally. So our market has not slowed down. Um, and the average days on market is at 44. So that means, so on average, it takes about 30 days to 45 days to close a loan. So that's from, and that what, and so this is the entire time on market for a house. So basically, from the date it was listed to the date it's closed. So that includes any time under contract. So at 44 days, that's right in the window of how long it takes to get a mortgage loan on a home. So what you're seeing
Hmm.
is homes are still selling within a week or two of hitting the market, which is better than a day or two of hitting the market. um, so there has been a slight shift there, but it's still rather crazy. And I use that word as a very scientific word. Um, but as you can see, each market, even within our entire region, certain markets are different than others. Whereas in Johnson City, while overall there's been a 19.5% increase in median sales price, Johnson City has seen a 29.5% increase in the median home sales price this year compared to last year. And then Piney Flats, well, they've got a 55.3% increase in median sales price. And that's not because we've had a few multi-million dollar home sale. That's because the bulk of the market has moved up that much as far as Piney Flats
Hmm.
homes are concerned. So that's just astronomical to me. um, but
It's
it's
crazy.
where we are. So these next graphs, depending on how well you can see them, or whether you're looking on a mobile device or your iPad or a computer, on all of these next three ones I'm going to show you, the green line is for 2019, the purple line is for 2020, the blue line is for last year, 2021, and the red line is for this current year to date. So this is the number of active listings for each month of the year. So you can see down there on the red line in 2022, we are nowhere near the number of homes for sale that we were in the year 2019, which is pre-pandemic, which hovered just under 3,000. But even pre-pandemic, we were in a pretty hot market here. Typically, um, we've never been in this deep of a seller's market. Typically, we hover around a normal market. When I started in real estate 8 years ago, we had a ton of homes. There was about 18 months of inventory on the market, so it was a deep buyer's market, and you really had to work hard with your sellers to get their homes sold. Um, but even in 2019, prior to the pandemic, we were in this seller's market, and then the pandemic just skyrocketed it up. And right now in 2022, we're really where they were predicting us to be lower than 2021. We're really just following right along the same trend that we did last year. So we started out much lower homes on the market than we did in 2021, but we've quickly kind of caught back up. Now, when you look at sold listings, you can see it's kind of the same thing. So 2020 is the purple line, green line 2019. You can see both 2021 and 2022 have higher sales per month than those 2 years, with 2022 tracking right along the sales numbers of 2021. We did see in July a slight drop compared to a slight increase last July. We won't know what that means for another couple months, but pretty much if you look at the graphic, you can see the trend line looks almost exactly the same and following the same peaks and valleys as it did in 2021. The one that is not anywhere near each other are the average sales price in our area. So I don't like using averages. I like using medians because they're more statistically relevant, if I can get the word out. But I can't, that number's not available to me in the data report, so we're going to look at averages. But to give you the overall trend, you can see the red line this year, 2022, is significantly higher than the green line in 2019. So we started out 2019 at on just under $170,000 for an average sales price for a home in our region. It peaked at around 27 or around 185, 190. We started out this year at just under 250. And now we peaked over 300,000, but we're still well over 275. And as you can see by that line, the trend is still continuing to move up. The slant is up. So we don't predict any type of major sales depreciation, because honestly, even if we had a huge depreciation over the last few months of this year, and our home sales price dropped from 280 down to 250, we're still way up from 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So that just kind of gives you a perspective of where our current market locally is heading, and we're actually trailing better than the national numbers and just above them. So bottom line, as we're approaching the 30-minute mark, inventory levels are not significantly improving over the last year. Home prices are continuing to rise in our area. A significant shortage of homes will persist for the near future, and however, there are fewer buyers searching for homes. So, bottom line is mortgage rates are still cheap historically, and inventory is slightly up, and you're competing against fewer buyers. So, what do you think, Josh? Great time to buy?
I think it's still a good time to buy, my friend. And any of you that tune in to watch this video, please know that we're here to help. We're going to take what information you have, see what is a good scenario for you, if it's possible for you to buy a home. If you've been dreaming of purchasing a home, we're going to do our best to help you. And if it's not in your best interest, then we're going to tell you that as well, because both of us are very honest guys, and we're here to help 100%. But yes, it is still a great time to buy.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to thank Josh for joining me on this. I know I can get long-winded, so I will work on getting him more long-winded next time.
No.
But so we're going to plan on collaborating on these on a monthly basis. we will actually schedule them on Facebook and put out an event and invite anybody that wants to come, because we would like to do these in more of a live webinar format where you can ask us questions live and we can answer those for you, which means we'll actually probably go over less content, which might be better for you if you start falling asleep and yawning halfway through these presentations. But we really appreciate you tuning in. We are going to put links in the feed below so that you can find us and get all of our contact information. But I really appreciate you tuning in. I really appreciate you, Josh, for um, collaborating with me on these. And I'll let you go ahead and close out however you want.
Well, guys, we greatly appreciate you. Jay, I appreciate you letting me jump on. Listen, we hope you have a great week, whatever day it is that you watch this. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to help you in this market that we're in. Thank you.
Again, thank you, everyone, and have a great week.